Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Then welcome everybody. Ujjwala, Pravda, Radhika, Hare Krishna, Ashwini, Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtike Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahabana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajeevam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahabana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastite Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusite Devi Pranamami Hare Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindhuvya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vishnu Vidya Shri Guru Jana Swami Subhaktara Ras Bihari Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vishnu Vidya Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Jinani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravan Pacharine Nirvishesha Shri Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pandhanam Vaiti Guru Yathipakam Vande Shri Guru Dinatariyan Hare Krishna. So, welcome back to our reading of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1. We are still on the introduction. It's quite a long introduction, but most wonderful. And let us remember that Srila Prabhupada has given this introduction to introduce Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Why? Who remembers why?
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed by practice.
Yes. Okay, those who forget, please write down in your notebook why this introduction. Prabhupada says because this Srimad Bhagavatam is Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's practice. And therefore, meaning Srimad Bhagavatam in practice. In practical, but not in practice, meaning not sadhana, but he executed Srimad Bhagavatam. So many tricky words. So, okay, so now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and there was so much discussion about the Vedanta Sutra, and then Srila Prabhupada concluded Vedanta Sutra, then the Atmaram verse. Then Prabhupada said that the complete text of the explanation given by the Lord will form a booklet itself. You need too much, right? And actually, I just feel like inspired to go open Chaitanya Charitamrita and teachings of Lord Chaitanya and study this Atmaram Shlok. So therefore, we have presented it in a chapter in our teachings of Lord Chaitanya. How many of you have read this book, Teachings of Lord Chaitanya? All right, so this is one more book on your list to read. On page 27. So, please, as we are reading, I keep on giving a list of books. I forgot what list I gave. I think Shishopanishad, definitely Bhagavad Gita, Shishopanishad now, one more book, Prabhupada is giving the list, Teachings of Lord Chaitanya. All right. Okay, Bhanuji, please read the Bhattacharya.
Hare Krishna Mataji. The Bhattacharya at once fell down at the lotus feet of the Lord and composed many suitable slokas in praise of the Lord by his grace. He composed almost 100 slokas in praise of the Lord. The Lord then embraced him, and after transcendental ecstasy, the Bhattacharya lost consciousness of the physical state of life. Tears and thumping of the heart, perspiration, emotional waves, dancing, singing, crying, and all the 8 symptoms of the trance were manifested in the body of the Bhattacharya. Sri Gopinath Acharya became very glad and astonished by this marvelous conversation of his brother-in-law by the grace of the Lord.
Yes, so now Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, remember, he's the professor of philosophy of so many great scholars, right? And now he got converted from impersonalism to Vaishnava, to bhakti, by the explanation of Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he's elderly, right? Bhattacharya, he's elderly, and Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is? Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? He's a boy, right? He's a boy. He's 24 years old. Maybe he grew up a little bit more. Right? But the Bhattacharya at once fell down at the lotus feet of the Lord. So this is how in our line that age is not only the factor that makes a person learned. Age definitely helps you to mature. There's no doubt about this. I think all of us who are a little elder become much more mature, more tolerant, more accepting, more, I hope so, Krishna conscious than when we were 20, 25, 30 years old. Right? But when there is somebody who is superior to us in understanding, in how, so even the elderly will bow down. And I have seen this. I've seen this type of humility in the Indian societies. Like even if in the family, a child will become more advanced than the parents or the relatives. Let's not take the parents, but the relatives, right? We find that they bow down, isn't it? They actually bow down. So here, the Bhattacharya at once fell down at the lotus feet of the Lord and composed many suitable shlokas in praise of the Lord. So Uttama Shloka. So it's like natural. It's natural, like if we find someone is very qualified, it is natural that we would want to speak so many nice words to praise the Lord. And now, because the Bhattacharya was such a scholar, so naturally he spoke in Sanskrit and in a poetic way. And this is recorded in one book. Should have got that book. Forgot that. Oh, okay. Oh, here, it's continuing. Let's continue what goes on in those 100 celebrated shlokas. I've got that book. You can find it also. I forgot the title of that book now. Prayers, Bhattacharya, Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya. I forgot the name of that book. But just go on reading. We'll find out what the shlokas say. Ranuji, one.
Out of the 100 celebrated was composed by the Bhattacharya in praise of the Lord, the following two are most important, and these two slokas explain the mission of the Lord in J. Number 1. Let me surrender unto the personality of Godhead who has appeared now as Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is in the ocean of all mercy and has now come down to teach us material detachment, learning and devotional service to himself. Number 2, since pure devotional service of the Lord has been lost in the observation of the time, the Lord has appeared to renovate the principle, and therefore I offer my obligation unto his lotus feet. The Lord explained the word.
Yes. So actually, oh my God, I'm not revising my shlokas, but I knew that shloka very well. Nija Bhakti Yoga. Shikshartam.
First is Namo Mahavadadya Mataji. What is it?
Yeah, I'm trying Nija Bhakti Yoga. What's that Shikshartam, Nija Bhakti Yoga? I forgot. I'm not practicing reciting my verses. I forgot.
First, I feel it's Namo Mahavadanyaya.
No.
No? Oh, okay.
Shikshartam, Nija Bhakti Yoga. Vairagya. Jnana Vairagya. Anyway, I have to find it. I forgot this verse. Famous verse. Let me surrender unto the personality of God who has appeared now as Lord Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is the ocean of all mercy and has now come down to teach us material detachment, learning, and devotional service to himself. Nija Bhakti Yoga, this much I'm remembering. Shikshartham. Famous. Let's see, I'm not reading, so therefore I've forgotten. So let's look at this. The gist, these two shlokas explain the mission of the Lord in gist. So we are all together gathered for this purpose. So Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is an ocean of mercy, and he has come down to this material world to teach us material detachment. Number 1, Vairagya, right? Learning, to give us knowledge. Shiksha, so that's why I'm saying Shiksha. Vairagya, Shiksha. Then Nija Bhakti Yoga. Nija means himself. Devotional service to himself. So these are the mission. This is the mission of Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Second, since pure devotional service of the Lord has been lost in the oblivion of time, we all know this. We became completely ignorant. Absolutely completely ignorant. Since pure devotional service of the Lord has been lost in the oblivion of time, the Lord has appeared to renovate the principles. The Lord has appeared to renovate the principles. And therefore, I offer my obeisances unto his lotus feet. Since pure devotional service of the Lord has been lost in the oblivion of time. See, if somebody doesn't take the trouble to call us and say, please join our class, right? We'll just be lost, right? The science is lost in the oblivion of time. But Mahaprabhu, he sent his preachers, Haridas Thakur and Nityananda. He said, go door to door. Say, go door to door, knock on everybody's door and tell them to chant the name of Krishna and teach this Bhagavatam. So this is the mission of the Supreme. All right, Indu, please, you can read, continue.
Yes. Hare Krishna. The Lord explained the word mukti to be equivalent to the word Vishnu or the personality of Godhead. To attain mukti or liberation from the bondage of material existence is to attain the service of the Lord. The Lord then proceeded towards South India for some time and converted all he met on the way to become devotees of Lord Sri Krishna. Such devotees also converted many others to the cult of devotional service or to the Bhagavata Dharma of the Lord. And thus he reached the bank of the Godavari, where he met Srila Ramananda Raya, the governor of Madras, on behalf of Maharaja Pratap Rudra, the king of Orissa. His talk with Ramananda Raya are very important for higher realization of transcendental knowledge, and the conversation itself form a small booklet. We shall, however, give here with a summary of the conversation.
Yes. Okay, so this is Srila Ramananda Rai Samvad. So please do study this book, Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, because there are 5 Samvad in this conversation with the different personalities. Oh, I remember the beginning of that verse and I found it. Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yoga Shiksharthameka Purusha Puranaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Shariradhari Kripam Budhir Yastam Aham Prapadye. So you will find this verse also in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, chapter 6, text 254. So this verse was spoken here by Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. So this is the Sanskrit. Vairagya Vidya Nija Mukti Yoga Shikshartham Eka Purusha Puranaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Shariradhari Kripam Budhir Yastam Maham Tapadye. Right.
Mataji, slok number
1 minute. Send it to me because it's such a beautiful verse. Such a beautiful verse.
6.6 Madhya Lila 6.254.
Yeah. Right. Such a beautiful verse. I used to recite it all the time, but forgot. So now will come this the conversation. So here Prabhupada is saying this is a higher knowledge. His talks with Ramananda Rai are very important for higher realization of transcendental knowledge. So see, with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, it was only about Mayavad philosophy, impersonalism. But now with Rai Ramananda is going to be on Bhakti itself. Very hard. Yes, Ashwini, you want to read?
Hare Krishna Mataji. Yeah, thank you. Sri Ramananda Rai was a self-realized soul. Although outwardly he belonged to a caste lower than the Brahmana in social status, he was not in the renounced order of life. And besides that, he was a high government servant in the state. Still, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted him as a liberated soul on the strength of the high order of his realization of transcendental knowledge. Similarly, the Lord accepted Sri Haridas Thakur, a veteran devotee of the Lord coming from a Mohammedan family. And there are many other great devotees of the Lord who came from different communities, sects, and castes. Lord's only criterion was the standard of devotional service of the particular person. He was not concerned with the outward dress of a man. He was concerned only with the inner soul and its activities. Therefore, all the missionary activities of the Lord are to be understood to be on the spiritual plane. And as such, the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or the cult of Bhagavad Dharma has nothing to do with mundane affairs, sociology, politics, economic development, or any such sphere of life. Srimad Bhagavatam is the purely transcendental urge of the soul.
Right, this is so nice, right?
Yeah, yeah, very nice.
Right. Okay, Rashmi, you're smiling a lot, so please read. What happy it looks like.
Hare Krishna. When he met Ramananda Rai on the bank of the Godavari, the Varnashram Dharma, followed by the Hindus, were mentioned by the Lord. Srila Ramananda Rai said that by following the principles of Varnashram Dharma, the system of 4 castes and 4 orders of human life, everyone could realize transcendence. In the opinion of the Lord, the system of Varnashram Dharma is superficial only, and it has very little to do with the highest realization of spiritual values. The highest perfection of life is to get detached from the material attachment and proportionately realize the transcendental loving service of the Lord. The personality of Godhead recognizes a living being who is progressing in that line. Devotional service, therefore, is the culmination of the culture of all knowledge. When Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appeared for the deliverance of all fallen souls, he advised the deliverance of all living entities as follows. The Supreme Absolute Personality of Godhead, from whom all living entities have emanated, must be worshipped by all their respective engagements, because everything that we see is also the expansion of his energy. That is the way of real perfection, and it is approved by all bona fide acharyas, past and present. The system of Varnashram is more or less based on moral and ethical principles. There is very little realization of the transcendence as such, and Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejected it as superficial and asked Ramananda Rai to go further into the matter.
Okay, now let's examine this. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met Sri Ramananda Rai. Actually, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya told him to meet Sri Ramananda Rai. So he met Sri Ramananda Rai on the bank of the Godavari River, that's South India. It is also goes, it's a very long river. So they met in the south, the bank of the Godavari. So there, he mentioned about the Varnashram Dharma. When he met Sri Ramananda Rai on the bank of the Godavari, the Varnashram Dharma followed by the Hindus was mentioned by the Lord. Actually, Ramananda Rai, he said, how do you attain perfection of life? So Ramananda Rai said by Varnashram. So what did he say? By following the principles of Varnashram Dharma, everyone could recognize transcendence. But the Lord said this system is superficial. This is superficial, external. And see, that question will be asked again and again and again, million times among disciples of Srila Prabhupada. Why is it that Srila Prabhupada spoke about Varnashram Dharma in ISKCON, whereas Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying this is superficial? And he was not attaching much importance to Varnashram Dharma. Whereas right now, before it was a very hot topic. Now maybe it is more getting accepted that Varnashram Dharma is required in ISKCON. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he didn't reject it, but he said this is superficial. So Srila Prabhupada, when he instituted his movement, and the way he propagating, very scientific, using the principles that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is teaching here, that anybody from any level, any social level, can take to Krishna consciousness. Doesn't matter, it has nothing to do with mundane affairs, sociology, politics, economic development, or any such sphere of life. Srimad Bhagavatam, the purely transcendent urge of the soul. Prabhupada set his movement on that level. He taught pure devotional service. He didn't teach anything that was less. But here you will find, as we study Bhagavatam, Prabhupada is actually putting the blueprint of a social organization, spiritual organization, and he's taking us from the level 1 to the topmost level, as we study throughout his books. So why is it that this whole story about Varnashram came? So from what I saw in the recordings and the talks by Prabhupada disciple, that Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada had 10 years only. Only 10 years. And he set up the movement. And he did the most essential thing. He gave the movement such a taste in Krishna consciousness. It was almost like, when you send a rocket, you send a rocket, in the space, like you have to break the ground gravity, right? So that it shoots. So Srila Prabhupada did something similar. And only this Nija Bhakti Yoga had the capacity to shoot that rocket. But then, so it's flying, it's going, it broke through the tamas of Kali Yuga. But then the last couple of years, when Srila Prabhupada has actually set up the movement, then he started looking around. And then he saw that so many of his disciples are not able to follow moral and ethical values, right? What does he say? Somewhere, what is this Varnashram? The system of Varnashram is more or less based on moral and ethical principles. So he found that his disciples are not able to follow these regulative principles, right? Mess was happening. Therefore, he said that Varnashram Dharma is required within ISKCON so that people can follow this moral and ethical principles. So let's read from the beginning. In the opinion of the Lord, the system of Varnashram Dharma is superficial only, and it has very little to do with the highest realization of spiritual values. The highest perfection of life is to get detached from the material attachment and proportionately realize the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Vairagya, Vidya, Nija Bhakti Yoga. Right, three things. Vairagya, Vidya, knowledge, Nija Bhakti Yoga. So this is it's a system. So the more we engage in devotional service, Srila Prabhupada gave us following the footsteps of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, naturally there is going to be detachment from the material attachment. Just like, I mean, such a vivid example, even though we know about it, such a vivid example. Like now in our small Shirut Majid Institute, so we engaged the ladies, and then I really needed somebody to do some essential work for us. I needed somebody committed, capable, intelligent to handle all this. So suddenly she said she will do. And she's still working, and she's in her early 60s, and she says she cannot take retirement until a few more years because that's the system. She's working for a foreign company. That's the system. So she came for 1 month. 1 month she came, and she's doing this seva. And last time she met me, she told me, Mataji, I'm going now to retire from my work. And I said, oh, then I said, but you will lose your pension. I said, you will lose your pension. Then she said, it's all right. Meaning that she won't get what they promised her. She will lose, some years. Like, yeah. And she said, it's all right. I was looking at her in shock. She said, I don't have any interest anymore in doing this work. After she left, I suddenly realized that engaging in devotional service, even though it is simple, menial, tedious, counting work, but because it is not just counting work, it is for Krishna, right? So doing that service for Krishna brought that detachment from her, because actually it's ridiculous to work until your death. Shastra says, Prabhupada even wrote, maximum till the age of 55 you work. Now they pushed it to 60, now they put it 65, now 67. All right. It's cheating on the people. It's again the system of varnashram. So here, the highest perfection of life is to get detached from the material attachment and proportionally realize the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Like I'm just giving this, boost. So it's like she's looking forward. The next day, she's coming 3 times a week for 2 hours. And she said, oh, I have to come earlier, 3 hours. Then she wants this. Then I want to just do this, right? So proportionately, the personality of Godhead recognizing a living being who's progressing in life, meaning that I'm taking this as one person. I'm sure many of us who have done service, we know what we are talking about. So the personality of Godhead recognizes a living being who is progressing in that line, meaning you're actually Vairagya, Vidya, Nija Bhakti Yoga, you're progressing. Devotional service, therefore, the culmination of the culture of all knowledge. All that we are studying, everything means that I should engage in service. When Shri Krishna, the Supreme Person Godhead, appeared for the deliverance of all fallen souls, he advised the deliverance of all living entities as follows. Okay. So let's open our ears and listen how Krishna advised the deliverance of all beings. He said, the Supreme Absolute Person Godhead, from whom all living entities have emanated, meaning the Jiva have emanated from the Supreme Lord, must be worshipped by all their respective engagement. So we should worship the Absolute Person of Godhead, meaning the Jiva should worship the Absolute Person Godhead by their respective engagements, because everything that we see is also the expansion of his energy. That is the way of real perfection, and it is approved by all bona fide acharyas, past and present, meaning that whatever work you're doing, all right, doesn't matter in Varnashram, Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. Four, nobody's higher, nobody's lower. We just read in the previous paragraph. Nobody's higher, nobody's lower. What is important is that everybody want to dedicate his ability, his work, himself to the service of the Lord. Like, just like, we just celebrated the Rath Yatra. Rath Yatra is a very, very good example. I spoke before about what I observed when Ramlala temple was opened, how everybody was cooperating. But now this is more fresh in my memory, right? Rath Yatra. So this Rath Yatra, so of course, all the pujaris are there. They will bring the deity out from the temple. The king will come and he will sweep the road with a golden broom, right? And before that, the carpenters, they will make that three rath, I don't know how many tons of wood. And then now, just imagine, the cart is made of wood, and the deities are also made of wood. Daru Brahman, right? Difference between the two. The rath is made of wood, and the deity is also made of wood. How they will find that wood that will carve the deity? This is a whole procedure. Brahmanas have to do something. So many people have to be involved, right? Then who will carve? Who will carve the deity, right? Then who will do the puja, the abhishek? Then who will carry? Who will carry the deity from the temple onto the rath? Everybody's engaged. In all castes. Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra, everybody's engaged in this, in the worship of Lord Jagannath. All right. So here, the Supreme Absolute Personality of Godhead, from whom all living entities have emanated, must be worshipped. So we must worship Krishna by all their respective engagement, meaning all these jivas, doesn't matter what is your work, but you must use your work in Krishna's service. Is it clear? What is Varnashram? All right. That is the real perfection of life. And it is approved by all bona fide acharyas, past and present. The system of Varnashram is more or less based on moral and ethical principles. There is very little realization of the transcendence as such. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejected it as superficial and asked Ramana Rai to go further into the matter. So worshipping the Supreme Lord with our work is dharma. It keeps moral principles. It keeps peace and order in the society. It keeps respect and cooperation among the different section of the society. But here Prabhupada is saying that there is very little realization of transcendence. Because I may just be satisfied, to be a nice Brahmana. And I'm taking care of my servants. Or I'm paying my taxes. to the government and all that stuff. But Krishna can go in the background while I'm very happily engaged in my varnashram duties. Right? It's amazing how we can be pious, moralist, ethical, but then we push Krishna in the background. It's all about myself, so I am keeping the balance. In Hare Krishna, in ISKCON, we like to use this word, how to balance, right? How to balance my material life and my spiritual life. This is Varnashram Dharma. So here, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, that no, this is superficial. Go further. Hey, do you have the Hindi book, Shikala? You have the English book? You
I have
see,
Hindi.
yeah, you can check on your computer, on your mobile, Shrimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1. All right?
I have Hindi.
Veda base, Shrimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, so that you can read in English.
But I'm attending class with mobile
On the
only.
mobile. Oh, okay. Okay. Anyway, it's too complicated. I won't be able to take the Hindi reading.
No, it's okay. I can understand what you are telling. It's same word to word. It's in Hindi. I can
know.
understand.
I wanted you to read, but it's too complicated
Yeah,
for me.
Okay. No, thank you.
All right, Anupama, you can read.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Sri Ramananda Rai then suggested renunciation of fruitive actions unto the Lord. The Bhagavad Gita 9.27 advises in this connection, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you give, as well as whatever you perform in penance, offer to me alone. This dedication on the part of the worker suggests that the personality of Godhead is a step higher than the impersonal conception of the Varnashram system, but still the relation of the living being and the Lord is not distinct in that way. The Lord therefore rejected this proposition and asked Ramananda Rai to go further.
Okay, so Prabhupada here speak of the Varnashram system as impersonal conception. Right? That's what I was saying. You're living very hard and you just push, the Supreme Lord in the background. But like all of us, we speak of government. Government is impersonal, right? Nobody takes the name of the president until now. Now the president's name is very much known, but otherwise, usually we'll say, the government. It's impersonal, right? We're all working and we know in the background is the government. So this Varnashram system, Prabhupada is saying that it is impersonal conception. More specific is, so Rai Ramananda said that we should do renunciation of the fruits of action, meaning that whatever I'm earning, I should renounce the fruit. Whatever work I'm doing, I should renounce the fruit. Which verse is that in Sanskrit?
Yat karoshi yadasnasi yat juhosi dadasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurusva mad arpanam.
Yes. So this dedication on the part of the worker, yat karoshi, meaning what you are doing, you're the worker, suggests the person Godhead is a step higher than Varnashram. So when we start preaching, this is how we tell people. It's okay, just stay where you are and you offer. I mean, No, that's another level. It's another level. But it is like whatever you are doing, it's okay. You give some donation. Yet karoshi, yet ashnashi, even whatever you are eating, give to Krishna. Don't eat without offering to Krishna. You are giving in charity. Give to Krishna. Okay, continue.
Rai then suggested renunciation of the Varnashram Dharma and acceptance of devotional service. The Lord did not approve of this suggestion also for the reason that all of a sudden one should not renounce his position, for that may not bring in the desired result.
Yes, so we are going to fast, right? In the path of renunciation, we are going to fast, right? Then we'll crash and then say, let me run away from the whole thing, right? See, why is it that people, they don't want to come too close to a spiritual organization? They think of, I have to give up, I have to give up, I have to give up, right? I won't be allowed to do this. No, I have to give up. So they're scared. So Rai Ramananda is saying that be careful, be careful. So let's go slowly. Yes, continue.
It was further suggested by Rai that attainment of spiritual realization freed from the material conception of life is the topmost achievement for a living being. The Lord rejected this suggestion also, because on the plea of such spiritual realization, much havoc has been wrought by unscrupulous persons. Therefore, all of a sudden, this is not possible. The Rai then suggested sincere association of self-realized souls and hearing submissively the transcendental message of the pastimes of the personality of Godhead. This suggestion was welcomed by the Lord. This suggestion was made following in the footsteps of Brahmaji, who said that the personality of Godhead is known as Ajit, or the one who cannot be conquered or approached by anyone. But such Ajit also becomes Jita, conquered, by one method, which is very simple and easy. The simple method is that one has to give up the arrogant attitude of declaring oneself to be God Himself. One must be very meek and submissive and try to live peacefully by lending the ear to the speeches of the transcendentally self realized soul who speaks on the message of Bhagavata Dharma, or the religion of glorifying the Supreme Lord and his devotees. To glorify a great man is a natural instinct for living beings, but they have not learned to glorify the Lord. Perfection of life is attained simply by glorifying the Lord in association with a self realized devotee of the Lord. The self realized devotee is he who surrenders unto the Lord fully and who does not have attachment for material prosperity. Material prosperity and sense enjoyment and their advancement are all activities of ignorance in human society. Peace and friendship are impossible for a society detached from the association of God and His devotees. It is imperative, therefore, that one sincerely seek the association of pure devotees and hear them patiently and submissively from any position of life. The position of a person in the higher or lower status of life does not hamper one in the path of self realization. The only thing one has to do is to hear from a self realized soul with a routine program. The teacher may also deliver lectures from the Vedic literatures, following in the footsteps of the bygone acharyas who realized the absolute truth. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommended this simple method of self realization, generally known as Bhagavad Dharma. Srimad Bhagavatam is the perfect guide for this purpose.
Okay, so let's see. how Srila Prabhupada has set up the system for self-realization in ISKCON is being discussed here. So Varnashram was put aside, and then that, okay, we should just renounce Varnashram and, renounce, our position in, in Varnashram and just jump and take devotional service. So here Prabhupada is saying, it was further suggested by Rai that attainment of spiritual realization, free from the material conception of life, is the topmost achievement for a living entity. The Jnanis, the Lord rejected this suggestion also because on the plea of such spiritual realization, much havoc has been wrought by unscrupulous person. Therefore, all of a sudden, this is not possible, meaning that, this person is not sufficiently self-realized, but he gives up his duties in Varnashram Dharma. He gives up his family, he gives up his social obligation, etc., etc., and he just said, okay, now I'm transcendental. So here Prabhupada is saying that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, much havoc has been wrought by unscrupulous persons. Therefore, all of a sudden, this is not possible, especially Kali Yuga. The Rai then suggested sincere association of self-realized souls and hearing submissively the transcendental message of the pastimes of the personal Godhead. So, sthane sthita, stay wherever you are, but we should hear the way we are doing here, right? We are hearing with submission the transcendental message of the past and the present Baba. So Mahaprabhu was happy with this. So this suggestion was given by Lord Brahma himself. So he said that the Supreme Lord is Ajita, meaning you can't conquer him. But such Ajita, the Supreme Lord who is Ajita, who cannot be conquered, becomes conquered by one method which is very simple and easy. See, the Supreme Lord is so far away from us. We just describe the system of Varnashram. We very happily do all our Varnashram duties. See, yes, I'm dharmic, but Krishna is very far away from me. But here, by what is being said, that if we listen every single day, if we hear this Srimad Bhagavatam, the simple method is that one has to give an arrogant attitude of declaring oneself to be God himself. One must be very meek and submissive and try to live peacefully by lending the ear to the speeches of the transcendentally self-realized soul who speaks on the message of Bhagavad Dharma. Bhagavatam, what is this Bhagavatam? It is glorification of the Supreme Lord and his devotees. This is what this Bhagavat is all about. So, number one, stay where we are. Number two, so stay where we are and just continue with our own work. No. Stay where we are. Offer, dedicate our work to the Supreme Lord, but we must hear Bhagavatam. A very simple. We continue. Prabhupada has said everything here. So, Prabhupada is saying that just like, people like to gossip, right? People like to gossip. You pick the phone and you like to gossip. And when you talk about this one, that one, this one, that one, right? So it's natural to talk about others. So why not talk about Krishna? Why not talk about the activities of his devotees? Instead of about talking, what he did, what she did, what happened, what he said, how he said it. So better we talk about Krishna, right? We can glorify him, we can criticize him, we can chastise him, right? Anything. To glorify a great man is a natural instinct for living beings, but they have not learned to glorify the Lord. So I just said in ordinary talk, we like to just speak about other things. But here Prabhupada is saying that, oh, somebody, he's so great. So either you will criticize him or you will glorify him. Perfection of life is attained simply by glorifying the Lord in association with a self-realized devotee of the Lord. And Prabhupada said, footnote, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness has been formed for this purpose. What purpose? Let me come up. What purpose?
Purpose of attaining perfection in life.
What purpose?
Glorify the Lord.
Yes, so that what we are doing right now. Right? The self-realized devotee is he who surrenders unto the Lord fully and who doesn't have attachment for material prosperity. He's not anxious about this material prosperity. He's not anxious about it. Material prosperity and sense enjoyment and their advancement are all activities of ignorance in human society. They are all activities of ignorance. So meaning that I just work for my prosperity, and when I have money and other things, then I spend it on luxurious thing so that I can enjoy in my life. Peace and friendship are impossible for a society detached from the association of God. Peace and friendship are impossible. If I remove, like I just heard this, I heard this Bhakti Maharaj speaking. He's saying that what is it that's keeping husband and wife together? So what is it that's keeping husband and wife together? It is Krishna consciousness. This peace and friendship are impossible for a society detached from the association of God and his devotees. So I always think of that example. So I met this girl. So I think we shared a room. We were somewhere, forgot where, stayed in the same room. And then she told me that she was married and she divorced her husband. Then she told me the story. So they were both devotees. Husband, wife were both devotees. And so they were going to the temple together doing so much service. But then, it's amazing, this is straight from her. She said that somehow or other, they started finding fault with the devotees there. That, this management is not proper, that is not proper, this is not proper. So finally they quarreled with the devotees and then they stopped going to the temple. So what happened was that they just found themselves together alone in the apartment. She said, as soon as that happened, they started fighting. Fighting to such an extent that they got divorced. So her realization about all this, she said that what actually had kept them together was that her husband was engaged in service and she was engaged in service, and they had no time for one another. They were just so much engaged in service, so they just managed to come together for some time, whatever was necessary, and then again they were separate. So that was her realization, and just recently I heard this. Bhakti Maharaj, they're all gurus, they know very well. So peace and friendship are impossible for a society detached from the association of God and his devotees. It is imperative, therefore, that one sincerely seek the association of pure devotees and hear them patiently and submissively from any position of life. The position of a person in the higher or lower status of life does not hamper one in the path of self-realization. You know, I shouldn't think that, I'm just a small, simple Mataji. I don't know how many of us are here, a small, simple. But if it happened that we are small and simple, we have no position as such in material world or in our spiritual ISKCON, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Position, status does not hamper one on the path of self-realization. The only thing, Prabhupada is saying, this is basic, most crucial instruction. The only thing one has to do is to hear from a self-realized soul with a what? What Ashwini was saying it, with what?
Routine program.
Routine program. Okay, see, I'm not going to study Bhagavatam with you if you're not going to follow the instruction, right? No time pass. Routine program, meaning every day. The teacher may also deliver lectures from the Vedic literatures following in the footsteps of the bygone acharyas who realized the absolute truth. Just like we are reading Prabhupada's books. It's not that we are great self-realized souls, right? We are reading Prabhupada's books. And what is Prabhupada telling us about Rai Ramananda? Right? Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Shri Rup Goswami, right? So, this is exactly what we are doing. Lord Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommended this simple method of self-realization, generally known as Bhagavad Dharma. Srimad Bhagavatam is the perfect guide for this purpose. So, therefore, always say, and I will say it again, please attend the Bhagavatam classes that is next door to you. If there is a center where you live, a temple where you live, there is a Namhata program going on, make it a point, either morning or evening. Go and sit and listen. Of course, we can listen to video recordings, we can listen to audio recordings. These are all there, but Prabhupada is saying association. We, definitely hearing from the lectures is certainly association. But at the same time, the personal association is definitely required. Just like we saw on the news yesterday. So this one lady, she has some business, she's running some company. And so there was so much problem in retaining the staff. And then finally she said, okay, no more work from home. Everybody come back in physical office. All right. Human touch. The exchanges among human beings. The little jokes, the little gifts, the little greetings. So same. So these are ordinary people, business people who are discovering that no more work from home. Physical office required. It doesn't pay off to think that let the person make his own home and office. So if they are saying this, so what to speak of our Krishna consciousness movement? Right? So your Sangha is most important. Most important. Don't think that only our online classes you will get everything. It's not possible. All right, so thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Was there any question I didn't ask? Is there any question?
Hare Krishna Mataji. Mataji, you had said about that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes down to teach us. 3 principles you have told, no, Mataji? What was those, Mataji? You want?
Vairagya, Vidya, Nija Bhakti Yoga. Vairagya meaning detachment from material attachment. Vidya, right? Spiritual knowledge. And Bhakti Yoga, how to practice Bhakti Yoga.
So 3, Vairagya Vidya, Nij Vidya, and devotional service.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Vairagya, detachment. Vidya, knowledge, spiritual culture of knowledge. It's there in these paragraphs. And Bhakti Yoga. All right. So thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to read.
Thank you.
Mataji, thank
If
you
you are
so
not
much
there,
for
if you were not
for
there, I want to open the book and read, believe me.
yeah, this reading this preface, the introduction is so important because usually even I had not read it. We directly go to uh, first chapter of Bhagavatam. But this is so good, reading the introduction.
Yeah, yes.
Really, thank you so much.
Yes, Prabhupada put it there with some purpose, right?
Yeah.
I jump, right?
Mm,
I jump.
we jump. Thank you for keeping us grounded.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Yeah, instead of flying off in India, right? Okay, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.